Okay, we'll go ahead and call this Churchill County Commissioner meeting to order. At this time, I'd ask you that you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, is there any public comment? It'll be yep, there you go.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Nell. I'd like to introduce that this county needs to come to paper ballots and hand counts. We need to get rid of the Dominion machines, EVS, because they are corrupt. They've been hacked. In 2020, I went to the polling places there in Reno and Sparks. I never seen so many California license plates and communist agenda items. So I'd like to introduce to you to come talk to you and explain. I am getting information of data to give you and make sure it's cost effective to remove the Dominion machines that we use. Former President Trump asked us to go to paper ballots and hand counts. And Mike Lindell has put out the information and what to look for. So I'm going to let you know it's in the process, and I hope you go along with it. Because the globalist, the World Economic Forum, and all this stuff we're going through is intentional. And it guaranteed they're going to steal the next election, most likely, if they keep using these machines. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, is there any other public comment? Seeing none, can I get a verification of the posting of the agenda, please?
Julianne Ikonen for the record. The agenda was posted on the 14th day of February between the hours of 3 and 5 o'clock p.m. at the locations listed on the agenda in accordance with statutes.
Thank you. At this time, can I get a approval of the agenda as submitted?
I move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to 6, consideration possible action, approval of the minutes of the meeting held on January 17th, 2024 and February 1st, 2024. Can I get a motion, please?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of January 17th and February 1st of 2024.
Second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to our first appointment, 7A, consideration possible action. Presentation by the Rotary Club of Fallon for a donation of $5,000 to Churchill County for the erection of a shade structure at the cottage schools. Thank you, Chris. Go ahead when you're ready.
Good afternoon.
The little bottom button, the red one. Yep, there you go.
Good afternoon, commissioners and every other one else in this room. My name is Chelsea Sanford. I'm here on behalf of the Fallon Rotary Club. Along with me is Daryl Hook, who is the president-elect of the Rotary Club. The Rotary Club is a group of community leaders and business people who have the goals of serving our community and making it better. And when I think of Churchill County, a lot of times it's more agriculture. And you can see by these photos, I think of our Latin farms, pumpkin patches, and then you see below some of our community leaders and the base and so forth. But this year, Rotary Club of Fallon wants to focus on more of a local project, and we want to make an impact on our local kids. So we would like to donate, with your permission, money to you to help the kids. Our submitted project is to help the grade school children of Churchill County. We want a safe, comfortable, and fun area for the children to eat and play in. I don't know if everyone's familiar with the CARES program here, but the CARES program is an after-school care facility that the county runs. We have great employees. There's over 70 children there, and there's a waiting list. Now, Churchill County does not have the most amount of after-school care places for children. It's actually very difficult. At one point, I couldn't even find where to put my kids, and I had to choose between putting them in cares or not having a job because there was not a lot of options. And one of the great things about the CARES program, it serves so many people in this community. It ranges from elected and appointed officials to parents that are convicted felons. All our kids go to the same place. And it's now being housed at the Cottage School Historical Site. I learned a lot about this cottage school. It was built in 1939, and in 2007, it was added to the National Register of Historical Places. And Rotary would like to build upon this heritage and tradition and kind of improve upon this area. We would like to erect a shade structure for the kids to eat, play, enjoy their time at. Because here's the problem. That's what it looks like. It's a little dirt looking, and that's about it. This is a little older photo. This is what it is as of Sunday. But you can see it's kind of just a dirt patch. And all the kids, it's not the best place to play in. Oftentimes when I pick up my kids, I see them all underneath this one huddle of grass and shade from this one single tree. Versus this whole dirt lot is basically unused because you try and sit on those tables, you're going to get a fried behind. So we would like to add a little shade structure right there. We're hoping that on sunny days, they can play under it. They could have some tables, eat under it, and so forth. And we would like to convert basically this hot dirt and unusable lot into a shaded area. Now, why we're invested in this is I have 2 small children, as I was saying there, Fallon community members, and Rotarians. We want to help this community, and this is one area that we thought we could help you with. So, but as this committee knows, there's always money involved. So we've worked with the Parks and Rec Department, and they're on board to helping us make this beautiful and having a nice shaded area. The Parks Department was talking about how they can do in-kind, they can help us erect this and also facilitate for that, because I didn't even know, for example, for playground equipment, you need an engineer stamp of approval for anything around kids. And Jorge was able to teach me about this unique subsection of government. And the Fallon Rotary Club, we have been able to raise $2,500 that we're going to be donating to this. And Churchill County, we've already talked to the county manager about how he approval that we would like to do this. And we also got Large Rotary to donate and match our funds for $2,500 for this project. So in total, the Rotary Club is going to be presenting a check to you, if you so choose to accept it, $5,000 for this. Now, but here's kind of where money talks. It's about $18,000 for this single shade project. That's a huge amount of money for our type of jurisdiction that doesn't have as much funding and resources as others. And that's why the Rotary Club wants to be able to at least crack a dent into that and give you $5,000 for this so that all these kids, 70+ kids from all ranges of life, can enjoy a more pleasant summer and play experience. As you can see here, the shade structure is the one that we kind of determined would be best for the space. We can angle it so that it's best suited to sunshade and also for all the weather that we've had here in Churchill County. We've had these type of sunshades in other locations in the county, and they've worked well so far. So we thought, if it ain't broke, let's not mess with it, and let's go with this type of standard. And you can see that is the quote that we have for this type of structure that would cost to build it, the concrete to put in it, the posts, and so forth. And the Fallon Rotary Club, Daryl right here, is going to help him be our strong arms and help us install it to try and cut down some of the labor and costs of it. We've already had the picnic tables. We just got to assemble it and manpower it. So Once we get this shade structure up, we can put the tables under it. So, in sum, we would like to make a tiny oasis for the kids if you would like to accept money for us for this shade project.
Thank you, Chelsea. Is there any public comment on this? Any comments from staff or board?
Where did you want to locate it at?
So the idea is,
Are you going to put it where the tables are?
no, I think the idea is where those red arrows are, is more or less.
All right.
That's kind of going to get the biggest bang of the buck for the most amount of shade area. And we're going to have nicer picnic tables that have already been purchased that are not going to be as hot on little kids and also more suited to their size. But that was the place where we could put it, according to Parks and Rec, for the biggest bang of the buck.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Jim.
Jim Barbie for the record. Mr. Guerrero and I have met on the project, and he has existing budget and existing budget authority to move forward with the project. So you would be simply approving the receiving of the grant, and then they would be able to get started to get things rolling. So he has the rest of the funds that would be required in his existing FY24 budget.
Thank you, Jim. Any other questions? Can I get a motion, please?
I move to accept the donation by the Rotary Club of Fallon and thank them for their support of the community. Thanks, Chelsea.
Thank you. We have a check for you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Second.
Got a vote?
Forgot me. Yeah, got to vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone.
Moving on to appointment B, consideration possible action, update of current activities, plans, and/or actions related to the Bureau of Land Management, Carson City District.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Siobhan Sapp. So I click through? Okay. And
There you go.
okay, now I got it. Siobhan Sapp, S-A-P-P. I'm the acting field manager of the Sierra Stillwater Field Office in Carson City District. And I'm just here to go over some projects that we're doing in the area and just to explain some things, and if you have any questions at the end, please feel free to ask me. First projects are our geothermal projects, and we're working on a project in the Diamond Flat area that's this project is kind of on the downside of our priorities right now. We're working with the Walker River Tribal Council, working through some consultation with them on that area. And then we've got Wabasca, and that's in, we published an EA in November of last year, and we're working on some special status species issues that we're dealing with that were just presented towards the end of last year with the state. So then we had Dixie Meadows, which is a project that's under construction that's been put on hold right now because we're going to, working on an EIS and working with the Navy and Fish and Wildlife and ORMAT developing some additional data for that area. And then we got Coyote Canyon, and that's just in the process, working on the EA and working with the baselines for that. And the next is our solar projects. We've got Libra Solar. It's one of the largest solar fields that's going to possibly developed in the state of Nevada. We had public meetings January 6th and 7th. The main comments we got from those public meetings was the traffic that was being generated by the construction of that plant, and so those are the major concerns that we've heard, and the contractor that's working on the EIS with us is dealing with those comments at this time. Parker Butte Solar, we had public meetings for that on January 9th and 11th, and so we're working through the various cooperating agencies with that. Mason Valley and Pine Nut, these are projects that are just getting started. We're having to amend our RMP for those two projects, and we don't look for them to really start construction till late 2028 and 2029. And then we have Aramesa, and that's in the vagrants process too, so we're working with the public on that and having public meetings. We had them in the end of January, 1st of February. The next projects we're doing is the Wild Horse and Burro program. We had a gather in November of 2023. We gathered 1,605 horses, and then we had, out of those 1,605 horses, we had 658 stallions, 737 mares, and 210 foals. 81 of those mares were treated for reproductive and released, and then we had 109 stallions that were released. We had an appeal from the Wild Horse Education, and that appeal was dismissed, and so we've moved on from that. And then the next projects are the NDAA, which is the naval withdrawal, and we continue to meet with the Bureau of Reclamation regarding the checkerboard resolutions areas in Churchill County and the conveyances establishing a path forward on those checkerboard areas. The BLM is also waiting an application and planning of development from the Churchill County and for Sand Canyon Road. And we have several races.
Have you started at all, excuse me, have you started at all on the guidelines for the checkerboard?
We're in the beginning process of that. I mean, there's a lot of details that have to be ironed out, so we've started on it. It's going to be a fairly long process. So,
Jim Barbie, for the record, I do have a little bit of a follow-up question there. So that was all approved in December of '22, and I appreciate long process, but it's pretty direct and pretty clear, especially on the direct conveyances. There's been movements in other areas, if I understand correctly, but what kind of timeline are we looking at on the direct conveyances? Those are pretty cut and dry.
well, and in that process, you know, there's the environmental assessments that we have to do. So on a project that large, it's a very time-consuming. We're probably looking at 2 years down the road.
It's probably not a timeline we accept graciously because, you know, we've seen some direct conveyances done in Lyon County as recent as I think 3 or 4 years ago. I may be off on that timeline, but those were done within 6 to 8 months of the approval. The law is written with a fair amount of shells, and including how that could be supported and funded through SNPLMA funds. We would just request and ask that you, we try to find a better, quicker way to get there, because we have development and we have ground that has been limited as we speak today in terms of access with the expansion of the naval bases, and that's to offset that on the economic side for the county. So As usual, we're more than open to working with you and doing everything we can, but we need a push and a help from the other side of the table as well. So we would ask that be given a little more scrutiny and help there.
Okay, and
Thank you.
I agree with you, and we want to move it along as quickly as possible, too.
I thought the environmental and cultural assessments were to be done as the properties were sold.
And that's all in the process now, so that, they haven't been completed. So we're talking about the conveyance from congressional. So once that's signed, that property exchanges, but the actual environmental work still needs to be done on that. So
And
it's
we're
it's like
mixing
a,
the two. So one is the checkerboard, which was part of the sale. The other is the 14,000 acres in direct conveyance to Churchill County, which is within the checkerboard, which is why we believe it qualifies to be funded through the SNPLMA, because the SNPLMA identifies it as checkerboard. I know that's a lawyer argument.
Right.
And accept that, but that is what is two separate items as listed under the law. Just for clarification for Commissioner Sharman.
okay, thank you. So as you know, we always have that large Vegas to Reno race in the area that goes through, counties from Las Vegas to here, up to through Reno, and so we're working on that. That's application has been accepted, and the state office is working on that along with all the other districts that are involved in that. We are going to have several other large races in the area this next year, and I'll be bringing more information on that in the next meeting. Then we've got Vero, the fiber optic line. This has been in the works for a couple of years now, and we have the EA has been published, and to e-planning, we had the public comment period starting December 12th, and so we're working on revising the EA according to those public comments. And we have GreenLink. That's been another project that's been going on for a while. We're still working through the environmental assessment on that, and it's just another ongoing project that we're working through the details on. And that's the project that goes from, again, Las Vegas up through Reno. We have a couple of mines in the area that have presented new mining plans. One is Country Line Mine, and that's an extension of Isabella Pearl. We're developing the the EA, the environmental assessment on that, and working on the baselines and reviewing the plan at this time. And then the last other mining project we're working on is just another extension of Isabella Pearl, and we're looking at the, there we go, the modification of the plan mine, and we're submitting, and Isabella Pearl is working on the environmental process on that also, and working with the baselines on that. So those two mining plans are basically in the same process. And that's all I have. You have any more questions for me?
Thank you. Any questions from board or staff?
The first mine that you were talking about, that's 10 miles south of Gabbs,
Yes.
is that located at the same location? I can't remember the name of the mine that was there.
That's a general location of Isabella Pearl.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Moving on to appointment C, consideration possible action, application for community support funding in the amount of $3,000 for Lahontan Valley Clay Breakers. Is anyone here to speak on this? It'll be the bottom red button on the base of the microphone.
Thank you. I'm Pat Whitten. This is my husband, Wayne Whitten. You usually don't see him because he's in the background, but he's here today. I want to thank you for allowing us to apply again for the community support. That really helps us. But before I get into talking about our program, I want to take a minute to thank Buzz Sharman and Dr. Heath for your service to Churchill County. I see both of you are going to take a break and go back to another life, and I wanted to thank you for your service to Churchill County. Last year, our program was a huge success. We have returning shooters that usually start with us in the 4th grade. We divide our kids by grade, not by age, so they're competing against peers of their own age. We held the Nevada State Youth Shoot. We had shooters from Las Vegas, Carson City, and Fallon participate. And then there was a what we call California Youth Shooting Sports Shoot, where over 150 kids participated from Northern and Central California. They love coming to Fallon because it's a different background. They feel like they're shooting off a mountain, and any minute there might be a plane flying in and landing, and everybody stops, or the jet's coming over, so it's an experience that they really like. Over the years, our biggest obstacle has always been the purchasing of ammunition. We are always recruiting for coaches, but ammunition, an example of what has changed over the years is 2 years I ordered what we call a pallet. A pallet's 112 flats or cases of ammunition. 2 years ago, it cost me $6,000, or it cost the clay breakers. Last year, I was able to get a pallet. It cost me $10,000. So if you go to buy a box of shells nowadays, you'll actually see how much has gone up. I write a lot of grants, an awful lot of grants. Trying $100 will pay for a flat of shells. So I start the grant writing almost as soon as our season is done. And this year we anticipate about 40 shooters coming back. And I'm always searching not only for ammunition, but I'm also searching for advice from other clubs. And I ran into a gentleman from the state of Washington that has a youth group up there. And I got permission to use it because you don't want to get in trouble for plagiarism or something like that. And I just felt after the years that my husband and we've been doing this, will be our 18th year. They say trap shooting is one of the fastest growing sports in youth because you don't have to be a jock to participate in trap shooting. He says, and this is what he says, everyone shoots, everyone commits, everyone has the same chance. And the most important thing is there are no bench warmers in trap shooting. So if anybody has any questions, that's my spiel this year.
Thank you, Pat. Any questions from board or staff? Can I get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion. Make a motion to approve. I'm sorry. Let's get the microphone back on.
Real quick, Buzz, is there any public comment on this? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the funding in the amount of $3,000 in FY '24 for the Lahontan Valley Clay Breakers.
Second it?
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We'll grab a picture with you. Moving on to appointment D, consideration possible action, approval of a service agreement with Cashman Equipment for maintenance of the county-owned and operated generators in the amount of $16,125. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Chris Bross, Churchill County Public Works and Planning. So this item is an annual renewal for a service contract that we have with Cashman Equipment. They come out and do the preventative maintenance on the generators that the county owns. We've got 14 generators in total. I have 7 as part of the water and wastewater, and then Jorge has 7 as part of facilities and grounds. And so typically what we do is we take this $16,125 and we split it in half. And Public Works pays for 50% and facilities and grounds pays for the other 50%. I've attached the proposal as to what is required. It's an increase of about $1,765, which is 12.3% over last year's maintenance agreement. But based on inflation, I feel that's a pretty reasonable increase. So at this time, I'm requesting that you approve that maintenance agreement so that we can continue to have our generators run properly.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions from board or staff? Any public comment? Seeing none, can I get a motion, please?
I move to approve the service agreement with Cashman in the amount of $16,125 for service of the county-owned generators to be split equally between the Public Works, Planning and Zoning Department and Facilities and Grounds.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Moving on to appointment E, consideration possible action, approval to publish a legal notice for the final public comment to locate the secondary water treatment plant in the 100-year floodplain. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chris Bross for the record, Churchill County Public Works and Planning. So if you recall, a month or two ago, I was in front of this board as part of the requirement for the design of the secondary water treatment plant in the location that it's in. HUD has an 8-step program that we have to follow. Step 1 was an early notice to the public. We published that in the local newspaper, asking for any comments, any questions, any concerns. We received none, which means we were able to jump from step 1 all the way to step 7, with step 2 through 6 kind of addressing some of the concerns that came out from the public. Step 7 was basically a notification in the newspaper that said, all right, we've asked for public comment. We have received none. Here is our explanation as to why we are building this in the 100-year flood zone. It gives the public another 7 days to make comment. We posted that on February 9th, 2024, and because of the holiday, the comment deadline was February 19th, 2024, and we did not receive any comments back. So what that allows us to do, it allows us to move directly to step 8, which means that we can implement this project under the guidelines and the restrictions of Title 19 of Churchill County Code, which is our floodplain title section. I do want to reiterate that there was some comments that we received from the Bureau of Safe Drinking Water. They just had some comments they wanted to make sure that we addressed during the design phase. We're still a ways off from that. So if there are any concerns that come up from any of the other agencies that are out there, those will be addressed during design. So this is really just similar to as last time, motion to approve publishing this final comment period, and then moving forward with design. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions from board or staff?
Yeah, I have a question, or a comment. The weir really takes care of, I mean, are they going to change the 100-year floodplain?
So since I've been here, and probably a couple of years prior to me being here, we, through the Carson Water Subconservancy District, have been under contract to evaluate the current floodplain since 2017. There was really no flooding that everybody had anticipated. We're going through some hiccups and some hurdles with a couple of the agencies that we're involved in as a part of that. We have a draft of what the floodplain will look like. But there's been some changes that require some additional modeling, so we have not made that public because it will change. So it's difficult for me right now to say that it might pull this out of the floodplain. It likely will, but right now I have to work with the current firm plans that we have, because right now is the time of our design. And so I've kind of got to jump through these hoops and operate as if this was in the floodplain. Now, by the time we get to design, maybe this gets pulled out of the floodplain, and then the Bureau of Safe Drinking Water has no questions, no concerns, and we don't have to make any sort of adjustments, raising the grade or whatever that might be.
And you did all that work for nothing?
Did all that work for nothing. This wasn't so bad. Our consultants are doing all this work as part of the preliminary engineering report, but better to be safe than sorry to get, to the 1 yard line and find out that the goalposts were moved. So hope that answers your question.
It does.
Thank you, Chris. Any other questions? Seeing none, any public comment? Can I get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the publishing of the legal notice for the final public comment to locate a secondary water treatment plant on the 100-year floodplain.
Second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Last one, Chris. Moving on to appointment F, consideration of possible action, approval of the issuance of notice award for Churchill County Public Defender's Office Tenant Improvement Project, PWP CH 2024-181, to Miles Construction as the lowest responsible bidder in the amount of $595,260. Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Once again, Chris Ross, Churchill County Public Works and Planning. So at the January meeting, I believe it was the first one, I had requested approval to begin the solicitation process for the tenant improvements on the, what I call the L building, located over there at 101 North Main. The reason for that is because of the mandate being handed down by the Department of Indigent Defense Services, requiring additional public defenders. This board approved that. So what we did is staff generated some design drawings and generated a scope of work. We solicited the project. We posted it on our website and directed people to that. We had a mandatory pre-bid meeting, and three general contractors showed up for that. There was a couple of subs that showed up as well. At the time of bid, which was February 13th, we received 3 bids. After reviewing the bids, we had to eliminate, unfortunately, the low bidder. There was some inconsistencies and some missing documents with their bid proposal, and we felt it was not in the county's best interest to award a contract under those circumstances. And so we went to the second bidder. Second bidder was Miles Construction. There's approximately $100,000 difference between those two prices. So failure for somebody to complete the bid the proper way is going to cost the county some extra money. But we felt that this was the right thing to do for the other bidders that prepared their documents correctly. So the bid price is $595,260. I have included in that price $75,000 of contingency money, and I do that so that I don't have to come in front of this board for every $1,500 change order that might occur. This is an existing building. It was built in the 70s, and we don't know what we're going to encounter. So I did put in the motion that the contract be signed by the county manager, as well as any change orders. So any change orders that come up will be generated by myself and then reviewed and approved by the county manager prior to execution. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions from board or staff?
Yeah, Chris, why is the cost so high on that? Because the building's already in existence, is it?
We're doing a fair amount of work. I mean, when you look at the scope of work that we're doing, we're tearing out all the carpet, tearing out all the tile, tearing out all of the acoustic ceiling that's in there. We're replacing all the exterior doors, replacing all the interior doors. We're moving some walls around. We're completely repainting the inside. We're going to stucco and paint the entire exterior. And then we're also replacing that shake roofing that's there, kind of the facade roofing, not the roof itself. And the stuff like that adds up. So we're converting some doors to be security doors, so they're fob activated as opposed to just keys, so that people at the front desk can either buzz people in, or the public defender can come out and get those people, and there's not direct access. We've got to add a couple of walls to create some office space for the alternate public defender. So it's a pretty good amount of work. I think when I brought this in front of you before, I had put together a proposal. I thought it was going to be about $900,000, and it came in at $595,000. So I was pleasantly pleased.
Additionally, Mr. Chair, I would just add that this is all part of the mandate with the DIDS board relative to compliance on the public defender side. And so that portion of the building, once it is completed and we move the public defender's office into that building, we will be charging a lease fee to the public defenders. And we were told by DIDS that they could basically reimburse on that lease charge for occupancy over that. So we will retain over time some of that expenditure back, but it surely won't be that large amount in a short amount of time.
Thank you, Jim. Any other questions?
Jacob, did you know that you're going to be paying that? Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions? Any public comment? Seeing none, can I get a motion, please?
I move to issue a notice of award for the Churchill County Public Defender's Office Tenant Improvement Project, PWP CH 2024-181, to Miles Construction as the lowest responsible bidder in the amount of $595,260, and to approve the county manager to execute a contract and any change order for the same.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Did anyone want to pull any letters received? Seeing none, we'll move to new business. Item A, consideration possible action, adoption of policy and procedure revisions for the Jim Reagan Memorial Scholarship, which will be Jim.
Yes, I'm sorry. Trying to flip my paper over and get there. So, and I'll have Pam jump in and fill in with me if I miss anything or screw it up, because she's the brains behind this one for sure. So with the Jim Reagan Memorial Scholarship, we've made some adjustments to those policies and procedures, trying to bring those in alignment with our largest part being trying to bring those into alignment with not only the increase in funding that the commission put forth in the FY24 budget, but additionally with our Title III portion, and where we're compensating employees for college work and coursework that's taken. In our Title III portion, we have the ability to reimburse employees, full-time employees, for college work in alignment with their positions in the county. And so we have seen that used consistently by staff, as we would hope we would. But when we had developed a policy for the Jim Reagan Memorial, that we had also identified employees through that, and what the intent was originally was that was going to be, where's Joff, help me, the casual employees. I was trying to say seasonal. I can't get rid of my state roots. Sorry. Casual employees was the intent. So in other words, if we had student interns and such that were working for the county and looking at future careers with the county, that was an opportunity that we could provide scholarships through this program for them. What we found is, by saying employees, we had regular employees that were continuing to pay for further development and advancement for their careers with the county through that scholarship, where really that intent was to be handled on the Title III side. So what this does is merely clean those two up, and then identify the ways that we can put more of those funds out for scholarship with employees, children or dependents, as well as casual employees, which are largely intern driven, with the existing casual employee programs that we have. So with that, we would request your approval of these. And Pam, did I leave anything out?
No, I think you got everything.
All right, thank you.
Any questions from board or staff? Any public comment? Seeing none, can I get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to adopt the Jim Reagan Memorial Scholarship Policy and Procedures.
Second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Moving on to item B, consideration of possible action. Lost my spot here. Advanced step appointment of Kim Cecil for the position of dispatcher. Joff, Sheriff?
Good afternoon. For the record, Joff Stark, Human Resources Director, and we also have Sheriff Richard Hickox here as well. And we're here this afternoon to ask approval to hire Kim Cecil as a full-time regular employee at the advanced step of Step 13 for the dispatcher position. As indicated in the agenda report, Title III does provide an allowance for an advanced step if you're seeking to meet a difficult recruiting problem or employ a person who possesses superior qualifications. We think in this instance, both of those apply. We've had some difficulty filling some of our dispatcher positions. Ms. Cecil had worked for us full-time, and then she actually has continued to fill in as we need help. So she has continued to stay abreast of what we're doing there, and she was at Step 13 when she left. We are looking to bring her back in at Step 13, but we need the board's approval to be able to do that. And so we're here this afternoon to ask for that. I'm not sure if the sheriff has anything else to add. He can do so.
Sheriff Richard Hickox for the record. Thank you, Jeff, for that. Thank you for hearing us. We appreciate your time on this. The position of dispatcher is very specialized. It's very time-consuming to train somebody, and it takes a special person to be able to do that. Over the last 5 years that I've been the sheriff, we've had a number of people come in, get hired, start the training, and for whatever reason, be unsuccessful at completing that, stating that the job was too hard. Kim has been a dispatcher with us for well over a decade previously before she left to go attend to some personal matters, and she was an outstanding dispatcher during that time. She was my dispatcher when I went through some of the rough calls that we've had over the years, and so I can attest to that personally. She has, over the last few years, maintained her certifications and she was a super user for Spillman, which is our CAD system, and she has maintained that. She's also been one of our phone super users in the aspect that if we have an issue with the phone, she can come in and help clear it up, which we're actually kind of missing right now with lack of some of the people from CCCOM. And so she provides some very valuable assets and resources to us. We recently have been working with the project for about 2 years. With Spillman, local IT, logically, as well as one of our members from our office. She came in and within a very short period of time was able to identify the issue and get it fixed. To me, that's a huge time savings. It's a huge amount of money that one person can save us. And so I would ask that you strongly consider bringing her back at the wage that she left at, because it will give us an experienced dispatcher, which provides options for the people that we have here, makes everybody safer. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Joff. Any questions from board or staff? Any public comment? Seeing none, can I get a motion, please?
I move to approve the advanced step placement of Kim Cecil to Step 13 at grade D44 for $30.79 per hour.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, guys. Moving on to
Thank you.
item C, consideration of possible action, approval of a one-time allowance for Tiffany Timmons to carry over excess annual leave. Joff?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Again, for the record, Joff Stark, Human Resources Director for Churchill County. And this is just a request for the board to allow one employee, Tiffany Timmons, to carry over some excess leave from 1 year to the next. Just due to some extenuating circumstances beyond really her control, she ended up with an extra 29 and a half hours of annual leave that she could not take. We are asking that she be allowed to carry over that extra 29 and a half hours, knowing that she has to use it in the next fiscal year, or in the next calendar year, sorry. That's what we seek approval from you this afternoon. If you have any questions, I'd be willing to answer those.
Thank you, Joff. Any questions or comments from board or staff? Any public comment? Can I get a motion, please?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the carryover of 29.5 hours of excess annual leave for Tiffany Timmons for a one-time waiver of the maximum accrued of the annual leave allowed under Title III for calendar year 2023.
Second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Joff.
Thanks.
Moving on to item D, consideration possible action, approval of amendment to lease with Nevada Systems of Higher Education on behalf of Western Nevada College to accommodate a HRSA grant. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Joe Sanford for the record. Mr. Chair, this is a amendment to a lease that we currently have with WNC for property over at, they're here. I'll let them present it, I guess, if you want any of the details about the specifics other than the legal piece. But this is an extension of the lease. It would give them a time to allow them to utilize this HRSA grant to expand the nursing program.
Do you guys have anything you want to add? It's going to be the bottom red button. Yep.
There you go. Okay, thank you. Kyle Dalpy, President of Western Nevada College. Thank you for hearing us today and putting this on the agenda so quickly. What we are trying to do here is relocate our nursing program, which used to be located down the hall here and then was put back into our ghetto hall during the pandemic to accommodate some COVID response here. It's crammed into a small study space, and we decided we wanted to expand that program. And part of that expansion includes remodeling our Pinion building, currently under lease to Oasis Academy, but will be coming back to us July 1st of this year. To do that, we applied for a federal grant through the directed appropriation process and received a $2.3 million grant. That was the easy part. The hard part is making this all work, and I appreciate Mr. Sanford's explanation of it up front. We need to have a notice of federal interest on the property for 10 years. That means if the building were to get sold or come back to the county, the feds would recover some of the grant money they put into the improvements. We have no intention of having it go back, but to make sure that is good, we wanted to extend the lease for the 10 years, which is a requirement of the grant. So there's two pieces embedded in this, and I'll let legal correct me if I state it wrong. There is the piece that extends the lease 10 years through 2037 to accommodate the notice of federal interest. Both pieces of that need to be signed by the county, I assume the county manager, Mr. Barbie, so that we can proceed with the drawdown on the grant. The last note I'll mention is two more final notes real quick. We bring this in front of our board next week because they have to sign off on it as well, so both have to agree to it. The county because you own the property, the Nevada System of Higher Ed because they own the building. And where I should have started, just to close up, is WNC saw an increase in enrollment in fall last semester of 17%. That's our highest enrollment in more than 12 years. We are more than 25% increase at the Fallon campus alone. So the Fallon campus actually grew at a faster rate. And so what we're trying to do here is pull down the federal money to renovate that building to accommodate a growth in our nursing program in specific from 8 seats, possibly up to 24 in the next couple of years. So with that, I appreciate your consideration of this. I have Lisa Gallo-Swan, who is our new full-time permanent director of the campus here, if you have any additional questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from board or staff?
Yeah, Lisa, is most of the classes now for the nursing program going to be here in Churchill County, or are they going to still be in Carson?
No, they will be here.
Here.
Yes. So we have first-year nursing students and second-year nursing students here in Fallon, and then with 8 students in each, and we're hoping to go up to 12 each once we are into the new building.
That'll be good.
And so if I could piggyback on the answer, Kyle Dalpy, for the record, we do share resources with faculty, so there is some teaching going on there that's mirrored here and back and forth. But we do have, through this federal grant, the ability to do the property. We also received funds through Senate Bill 375 in the last legislative session that we're looking to continue the full-time position here and expand more nursing full-time teaching positions here as well.
Thank you. Any other questions from board or staff? Any public comment? Oh, go ahead.
I just have one comment to make. This nursing program has been going on a lot of years. And there was a period that it was no longer in effect, but we brought it back. I just want to acknowledge the work that Kyle has done to make this thing work. And the enrollment increase comes because of you and because of your hard work. And I know that you're also looking at Douglas County. Right now, the Douglas County campus is, I think it's operated by the high school. I think it's, but you're going to move college classes back into that building. And I just want to let you know how much we appreciate your work and everything that you're doing.
So Commissioner Sharman, I appreciate that, thank you. And we are looking at the Douglas campus as the next step, a similar model for allied health. I say allied health, it's primarily nursing, but we will look at EMS and any other programs that are related to that we can do, which overall keeps it local in the communities, here in your community or in Douglas County community, and then frees up capacity in Carson. So overall, we grow the college, but let students not have to do the hour-and-a-half round-trip drive. And I do appreciate your comments. It's, I've said in a couple meetings this week already that having worked in higher education for almost 28 years, 21 of them in Northern Nevada at TMCC and WNC, this job at Western is the hardest job I've ever had, but I am having the most fun. So I appreciate partners like the county and the work we do together, so thank you.
That's great.
I would like to add to that, because I was able to spend my whole 2 years at WNCC when it was down here, and didn't have to go to Carson at all for any classes. So I'd like to see that back if we can, because, working families and things, like people get off work, it's hard to drive to Carson. It's a lot better to sit there and be able to come here. So thank you for doing that.
And the nursing program, the first year, they'll be mainly being able to do it here. But the second year, when they do clinicals, they still need to go to Carson or to Renown, don't they?
So the strategy with any nursing program is to move them around so they can see different level trauma centers, work in different environments. And unfortunately, sometimes that means that bigger cities may poach them, but they do often get the experience and then come back to the communities where they trained. And so they'll do some work at Banner, they'll do some at Renown, they'll do St. Mary's, Carson, Tahoe, all around. Different experiences.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Any public comment? Can I get a motion, please?
I'd like to make the motion to approve the amendment to the lease with the Nevada System of Higher Education as presented.
Second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to item number E, approval. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Consideration possible action, approval to relieve Schroeder Law Offices as counsel for United States versus TCID, case number 395CV000757. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, Joe Sanford for the record. This is a very old water law case, as many water law cases tend to be, but it started in the 90s regarding potential overuse of water from the 80s by TCID, and was brought by the Pyramid Lake Tribe. As part of the result of that case, TCID provides a little extra water back to Pyramid Lake in terms of voluntary reductions over time, and then they provide a report of that to the federal water master. That gets filed in this case. Schroeder Law Office has represented us in this case for 27 years now, but at this point in time, all that happens is that document gets filed once per year, and then a report gets sent to us with essentially limited new information. And so we'd ask the board to relieve Schroeder Law Office as counsel. The district attorneys will sub in, and we can provide updates as needed.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions or comments? Joe, I do have one. Are we done with the repayment phase of that?
No,
Not even close?
not yet.
Not even close, okay. Any other questions or comments? Any public comment? Seeing none, can I get a motion, please?
I move to relieve Schroeder Law Offices as counsel for the United States versus TCID, case number 395-CV000757, and have the district attorney's office represent the county in the same.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Did anyone want to pull anything off the consent agenda? Can I get a motion to approve that, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed.
Second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Consider future agenda items. Anyone have anything they want to add for the next agenda or future agendas?
No.
Seeing none, can I get commissioner and management staff report? Start with you, Buzz.
I don't have any report to make.
Justin?
So since last meeting, I attended the Stillwater Conservation District meeting, also the Lahontan, and also museum meeting.
I was able to fly back to DC with Jim a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and we met with all of our congressional leaders as well as our Senate leaders, as well as BOR, and a couple different issues for Churchill County. It was very informative, learned a lot. Also got to kind of state some things that us as Churchill County residents need done and what we could use help on, so that was very beneficial. I also had a RTC meeting this morning. Jim, do you have anything to add?
No, sir.
Sheriff, you have anything?
Tomorrow's budget hearings?
Joe?
I have nothing to add.
What about you, Mr. Mallory? No? No comment, okay. Moving on to claims and payroll, they're going around. At this time, is there any public comment?
Sheriff.
Oh, Pam.
Sorry,
You're
the one
good.
day that I have something I have to talk about. So I need to inform you that we had a nuisance complaint that was filed. And so I would like to set it for public hearing on March 20th, if you all are okay with that, just during our regular meeting.
That'll work for me.
Okay,
Thank you, Pam.
thank you.
Public comment.
Let's see if the sheriff has anything to say.
I asked him what he did.
Hi, I'm Jeff Nell. I'd like to expand what I said earlier, is getting to hand count and paper ballots. I recently found out that the United States Postal Service under Joe Biden's administration is changing the mail direction from Reno to Sacramento. So I think it's a plan to have our mail-in ballots tainted and get them compromised. You get them in too many hands, things get lost. With all the things through the country, Las Vegas, mail ballots were tainted, they were stuffed in ballots, all this kind of stuff by people. So I want you to consider that is the mail-in ballots would be most likely tainted and tricked and falsify the election. I'd like to say that I've notified the comptroller and your DA office, and so that's covered. Okay, it's all up to you. Nye County voted to buy paper ballots and hand counted in 2022. They stood up to the legal challenges by leftist legal rights groups, and they won. The Nevada Democrats sent a bill to Joe Lombardo to not allow us to make that choice, to go to hand count and paper ballots. He vetoed that bill. Okay. The RNC committee in Nye County, they went along with it. I tried contacting the Republican side, but they're too busy. They only have an hour. I was hoping they would get in there to participate in it. But anyway, the caucus was outstanding. We did a paper ballot, and things went very well at a lower cost. So hopefully, we need to put this on the agenda as soon as possible. We don't have much time because it costs money to get the mail-in ballots and all the other stuff. So hopefully soon, we get on the agenda as soon as possible. Thank you.
Jeff, let me ask you a question.
Pardon?
Churchill County has not had a problem with their votes. The state, now when you get into Clark County or Washoe County, there's some issues there. But Churchill County has not had a problem with our vote tallies in the past.
Well, yet there is a risk of it. Nye County has double our population.
Yeah.
Okay, and they got different other responsibilities and more expanded system. Okay. What else? It's knowing that Dominion, who sued Mike Lindell for millions of dollars for improper. They put the system in, back in 2020. I was there when they took the boxes over to the courthouse, and it's with all these irregularities in the system. Now, there was a Heritage Foundation did an investigation on it, and they did all 50 states and the District of Columbia were rated as 50, saying that we don't have enough information to, I need to do more research on that, okay? But it's amazing that we don't know if you have any problems, I would guess. Hope that answers your question.
Well, this is one issue that I actually agree with you on, okay? A lot of the issues that you've brought to us, I've not agreed with you on, but this is one that I agree with you on, but I don't really know what Churchill County can do to leverage the state.
Okay, can I answer? I know it got $8 million. The state offered $8 million in grants to pay for the help with the voting system.
Yeah.
Okay? But also, the contract, the Dominion contract, there is a clause in there where you can terminate it.
Okay.
Okay? There is in there. I have a copy of it. And I go, oh, okay. There is a stipulation in there. And I hope the district attorney will look at it, and so we can make a decision. It's up to you. Okay? Anything else?
Any decision would be agendized, so preface it by saying that. Any more public comment?
Thank you.
Seeing none, we stand adjourned.